Hi you two. Today I'm going to be showing you a different way to make a rain gauge. There's already a video on here that uses a bottle, like a plastic bottle, but I couldn't find any plastic bottles at home, so I thought maybe it would be a good idea to show you an alternate option just in case you don't have one. So the things that I'm going to need today to do this is I have a big glass jar, and this jar has a big opening at the top. If you only have jars that have small openings at the top, you could use a funnel from inside your kitchen that could go inside it as well. But this one should work for me. Now mine is glass, and just like when I said in a previous video, if you are using glass, you have to be very careful. Please ask mum and dad to help you with both versions of this rain gauge experiment, particularly if you're cutting plastic open, but also if you're using glass. So I have my big glass jar, I have my sticky tape, and I also have a ruler. I actually have two rulers because I want to show you something to be aware of when you are creating your rain gauge. So if you happen to have a jar that has a smaller opening, what you can do is you can put your funnel inside it and then use some sticky tape to stick it down so that it stays where it is. If you don't and you have one like this, perfect. Now, get your jar ready. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to get your ruler and check that it is on the side that is showing centimeters and not the side that is showing inches. And you are going to line up your ruler with the bottom of your jar. Now, if you happen to have a different kind of ruler, now this one, let's see whether or not you'll be able to see it. The very bottom of my ruler is where the zero on the ruler would be. They don't even show it because it's the very bottom of the ruler. So my ruler, if I were ruling a piece of paper, I would start from the edge of the ruler. Whereas, if you can see, I might need to use a piece of paper to show you the back of this ruler so that you can see it properly. This ruler has a gap here before it has where the zero starts. So if I was ruling, I wouldn't rule from the very edge of the ruler. I would rule up from where that line is. If you have a ruler like this at home, then what you might need to do, because we want to be measuring from the very bottom of our jar, or rather from the bottom bit where the water would actually start collecting, you need to try and make sure that you're lining it up, and you might ask mum and dad to help you, to line it up so that when you start to collect water, it's an accurate reading. So if you have if you have a ruler that doesn't start at the very, very edge, you just have to sit your jar down and check, and you might have to get down nice and low to check where should you glue your ruler, or not glue, sticky tape your ruler. I'm going to be using this particular ruler today, but I still have to do the same thing because the bottom of the jar is, of course, glass. So I'm not going to start at the very, very bottom. I'm going to start up a little bit further up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my sticky tape, and I'm going to pull off some bits of sticky tape, and I am going to stick them down onto my ruler so that it stays in place. Now, this is a bit tricky to do, particularly tricky for me to be doing over a video. So as I do it, I'm going to check again, and I'm going to go, oh, is that the right spot? And if it's not, you might have to take it off and fiddle around a bit and try and get it so that it's nice and straight. So you don't want your ruler to be slanted like this because it's not going to be measuring it particularly correctly. So you want your ruler as straight as possible, and then you want to put lots and lots of sticky tape on it to make sure that it stays in place. If you have a funnel over the top, you're going to have to be a bit careful that your funnel is not blocking where your ruler goes all the way up, but hopefully you can work it out. Now, these are not proper rain gauges that meteorologists would use or farmers would use, so if yours is not perfect, that's okay. It's just so that you can get an idea of what it is to measure rain. So now that I have my rain gauge, and this is what it's going to look like, I need to find a place to put it in my garden. Now the key here is you don't want to put it underneath a tree or underneath other plants. That's because what you want is you want the rain that gets into your rain gauge to come straight from the sky to give you an accurate reading of how much rain is falling down from the sky rather than how much rain is falling into trees, gathering, and then falling into your jar. So I'm going to find a place in my garden. I actually might start by burying it a little bit so it doesn't get knocked over by my cat or anything. So if you have a pet, you might need to find a place where it's not going to get knocked over, or it might not get knocked over by wind or anything like that. Or you could even put it somewhere and have some rocks and things around it. Make it so that it's something that it's a place where you can easily pull it up to check and read your rain gauge. So if, for instance, it rained tonight, I would get mine out and I would have a look at it, and I would look at where the rainwater lines up against my ruler. And I would be able to write in my weather diary how many millimeters or how many centimeters of water that I can see have collected. Now, the key to this is if it was rainy for quite a few days, you could leave it a few days and then check. But if you're checking every day, you have to empty it after you've checked it so that you don't come back and go, okay, on Monday there was 5 millimeters of water, and then you don't empty it. And then the next day you go, oh, wow, there was 8 millimeters of water, because really that was over 2 days. So make sure once you've checked it and you've written down, you empty it out again so that the next day's reading is also accurate. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, I hope you have lots of fun, and I hope it does rain over the next week or so that you can test out your rain gauges. Hope you have fun year 2, and I am very excited to see what you come up with. Bye.